Recruitment journey is quite an interesting subject, and in educare, recruitment module is quite robust, all encompassing, and very interesting to use. And we will guide you through every bit of the process and make it as simple for you to use as possible. So let's dive right in. Our recruitment process usually will start with the configuration schema. And the configuration, like we established during the setup session, that every individual module has their dedicated configuration. And this is the one that accrues to recruitment. So the first thing you want to do is to set up your vacancy templates. When you set up a vacancy template, it does not mean that you are about to use it immediately. It simply means you are setting up your shop, right? Anytime that you need to make a post that concerns this kind of template, maybe a teacher template, for instance, then all you need to do is call up the template and you reuse it. So, and if you feel like there is need for you to edit it at some point, maybe in the future, you simply come to the template and edit it and vet it. What that does for you is that it speeds up the advertisement time for any vacancy. We will see all that in a moment. Let's dive right in. So this is how to create a template, a vacancy template. Just recruitment menu and then go to configuration, click on vacancy templates. That's all. Then click on the plus button at the top right and then give your recruitment template a name. For instance, teachers recruitment template. That's all. So then you describe it. You can simply put something up in the description and then choose the job title that you are interested in having using this template. For instance, teacher job title, and then of course the subunit is academic staff. Here you select a generic hiring manager. For instance, I can choose IT administrator as the hiring manager, and then underneath you post you make available the job posting. What would you like people to see whenever this job is to be posted? You build these things and you leave them here such that whenever it is time for you to make a job posting, you simply access this template and make it available. We will also see where this shows up when we make a post for a job. Okay, so and this is all it takes. Just once you do that, you close it and you have saved it. I mean, you save it and that's it. So anytime you want to edit it, just click on it. It opens up and you can make any change of interest to you and then save it back. That's all. Now, if you want to delete it, it's just a click of a button here and a confirmation and it's gone. For now, we are not going to delete this one because this is the single one that we are going to use for our job posting. Okay, the next configuration that is also very equally important is the question pool. Now, the question pool is list of possible interview questions that you would want to give a particular recruitment schema. As simple as that. The questions that you would want to throw at, I mean, during the interview of a specific job role. And to create them, again, configuration, question pool. So here at the top right, click on the plus button And then remember that when we were creating administrative setup, we created competency list. Now here you have the list of those competencies that you created, and you can actually add questions to each one of the competency list. So any competency here now becomes a section of its own, and then you can ask direct questions. For instance, interacts, interrelates ideas and information within and across subject matter can be is now a competence, is a competency in your list, right? Now, what questions do you want to ask under this competency? I can ask a question as simple as, what do you want to teach? And then give it a difficulty level and choose who this question is directed to. Is it the interviewer or the candidate? Then give an answer guide. An answer guide is usually an idea of what the answer should be for an interviewer, for a candidate to earn more marks or less. Simple, like as simple as that. For instance, I can say if candidate answers positively towards subject in question, give more mark. Something like that, as simple as that. And then you simply click on add. That will save that one. Now you can select the same competency or the next one available and then ask the next question. For instance, I can ask this question now. Describe a time when a student challenged your authority in the classroom. What did the student do and how did you respond? That is a simple question. Now, that can be a question under forming constructive relationships with students. And then again, you give it a difficulty level, select the candidacy, and then add an answer guide. I'm going to make this up to 5 and then we move. Okay, so I'll add one more and then we close this chapter. So you can see this is, so the question becomes, why do we go through this hurdle to create questions? One, our questions are here to stay. That's one number one. Any question you put in the system, you don't have to ever come back to it. You can only reuse it and reuse it as many times as possible. Secondly, when you use these questions to build an interview setup, you don't necessarily need an expert to carry out your interview. Anybody who can type on a screen, anybody who can use the mouse and the computer can be your interview staff. You don't necessarily need an expert because everything that you need to carry every question you need to ask and the highlights of what you are looking for, you would have identified and included in every question, such that the only thing that the person may be interested in is his discretion or her discretion. So that is the essence of this interview schematics. So once you have added that, then you just click on add and then you can close this now. So far we have covered about 6 different competency headings, and each one of them, when you click on it, shows you the individual questions underneath. Some may have one, others may have two, but like this one now has two, this one has one. So, as many questions as you have under each one of these competencies, you are already forming sections and questions under those sections. That's how question pool works. All right, moving on. Next, you would want to configure your interview templates. An interview template helps you to vet and specifically select questions for candidates with the intention of getting to know the candidates and their competencies. So you put together a mix of consistent and varied questions. At the end of the day, whoever is going to be interviewing your candidates will have to use their discretion to rate each answer that is provided by the candidate, but as it concerns the questions that you have put together. So you use the templates right here. This is a configuration for that. Let's go to configuration, click on interview template, and then key in your template. For instance, right now I want to create again a teacher interview template. So now you select the kind of outcome you expect from this interview when it is being carried out. Do you want a pass or fail, or do you want a numeric score? If you want a numeric score, what is the maximum score someone can get in this interview? Maybe 100. And then you describe the template. So here I'll simply copy and paste something there. And then you also give your interview guide. Whoever is interviewing candidates based on this template, what should be their guide? What should be their guide? So you can put in things. So these are the information that you're now giving to whoever is going to be interviewing your candidates. So you can arrange it as much as you want, put it together the way you want it, and then save, either numbered or just bullet points. Okay, and then save. So when I click on save, that particular template has been saved. This is it. Now the question is, what are the candidate questions? I mean, which questions are you going to be asking in this template? Simple, just click on the template to open it up and then click on add questions to select competencies and questions to be part of this interview. Remember previously we set up a question pool according to competencies. So here now I'll select a competency and the system will give me a list of questions that are in that competency for me to include in this template. So forms constructive relationship with students has one question. What is the weight? How much mark do I want to accrue to it? Let's give it 20. Now, what you notice immediately is that on the left flank, the utilized score is showing up, while the unused score are showing on the right hand side. This helps us to know when we have weighted the full score that is maximum for this particular template. So I'll go to the next and then again click and then key in the maximum obtainable score. So far we have spent 30, remaining 70. One thing you notice in the list of competencies is that the only competencies that show up on this drop down are the competencies with questions, competencies that have question in their pool. Okay, so on that note, again, we give this guy 20 again, and then the next one, let's we have 50 to go, so let's give this 20. The next one has two questions, so let's give them 10, 10. And the last but not the least has one question, so let's send the remaining 10 to that last one. When you are done, you can always review your questions and the summary on the summary part. So here you can see the questions you've asked or you intend to ask, and then their balance, the total sum, that's the question summary. Total score 100, no balance. So everything has been utilized. So at this point, you can just click on save, and that's it. So the moment you save that, that means that you have actually set up a teacher interview template with questions that can be asked during interview. So the question becomes, how do you use it? We'll get to that in a jiffy. Okay, so in Educare, our application form enables you to collect candidates' information directly from within the system. And you can create the template of your choice. You can create the form that you want and decide the information that you want to collect from these candidates. So to do that, again, from recruitment configuration, go to application form. As you can see, our system comes with a pro forma section called personal details. And the personal details encompasses a few items, about 13 of them, including the nomenclature, the name and the surname, middle name of the candidate, the email address and contact number, and then social media life, passport, and resume. If you don't want to, any of them that you don't want to be part of you don't want to be active in your form, you just say checkbox here and it's gone. So we can remove Twitter, we can remove keywords, and we can remove notes and leave the rest. You can ask for LinkedIn, ask the person to select the vacancy of interest, and so on and so forth. Then, if you want to create your own section apart from this, you can add another section to the application form sections just by clicking on the button at the top and then keying in your section. For instance, maybe you want to also maybe collect referral. You're free to create referral section, that's referee section or agreement section, something like that. So here you need to agree to our terms, something like that. So you can create that, just any section of interest. And now you can decide whether it is a grouped section or a tabular section. We have these three different types of sections, right? You can have a grouped section, you can have a table section, you can also have a normal section. So whichever one that you choose, the system will take cognizance of that when building your application form. All right, so for now we will just leave it as normal section and save. When you save it, the system allows you to add input field that you are interested in to this section. So for this agreement section now, I will simply click on the print button here to add a field to it. The field may be something like fill your full name as a signature. Okay, so okay, something like that. So you select an input of type text. And then if you want to give it a minimum or maximum value, you are free. Otherwise, just click on save and the system will have one item in this agreement section input field. So on that note, we have just two sections for this particular in our system for vacancy application form. Any application form whatsoever that we will be accepting in our system. The personnel will have to fill the following information. It's one to how many, whatever number they are here, and then proceed to the next section to fill the remaining before submission. We will see that once we set up one job vacancy. When we were starting, I told you that our recruitment module is all encompassing. And so far, we have seen all kinds of setup, and we have just one more setup before we go into proper job posting. And that setup is the computer based testing. The computer based testing is a module of its own, but it is interwoven with our HR. And to set it up, you must have access to CBT menu itself. That's the CBT module. And then you'll have to go to CBT setup Go to Other Setup tab and ensure that General CBT is enabled. If it's not enabled, you will not be able to create any CBT that is not student based. So general CBT is what you use to start off any staff based CBT. Okay, so you make sure that it is active and then click on Save Settings. The next is to build your question bank. In the question bank schema, you will have to select that general and ensure that all the questions that you want to use in building your building your CBT are active, or rather that you created them in the questions list. This is different from interview question. This is CBT question. So you will have to build it just the same way that we have built the interview questions. So let's quickly add 5 to 10 questions and see how to use them on interview. Or rather, to save time, we're going to make use of these ones, but I'm going to use one instance to show you how to create, edit, and delete a question. To create a new question, simply click on New Question at the top right here, and then the system will give you the question form. So here you can see a note that is worthy of your notes. You should have at least 2 answer options for every question type with answer. At least 2 answer options must be provided for question type with answer. You can select different question option types by clicking the drop down menu. You can select or type new topic if you want. Now look at this question. This is multiple choice and single answer question. You have multiple selection, you have subjective question, and you have comprehension question. Our system fosters all 4 of them, and you can set up any of these questions for your interview. We're going to use multiple choice single answer, and then we're going to ask a single question here. The question can be asked, it can be a mathematics question, can be a geography question, you can put a picture, and so on and so forth. So just take your time, set up this place. So this is going to be me giving you an example of what question looks like. This is a test question. Okay, and I'll simply say whether it is a difficult or easy kind of question, and then I'll go ahead and type a topic that I want this question to belong to if need be. If I don't feel like it, I can always remove it. But for now, let's just add something about interview, job interview, so that we'll be able to categorize it differently from other question topics that are available out there. Okay, so job interview is what I want to add. Of course, I can see it's not on the list, so I will simply click here and then add a job interview. If you want to tag your question, maybe you want to tag the question based on categories or the kind of thing the question represents or the kind of competency. So you can actually put a particular competency this question targets to solve. You understand? And then just hit the comma, separate it by comma, and the system will note it. The next is the answers. So here you will have to key in your answer. Because you said it's a multiple choice single answer, you will have to provide at least 2 answers as per the instruction at the top. So here you can have your answer one, and then your answer two, answer two. You can add more options by just clicking on add answer option, and you can create answer 3, and so on and so forth. Now, having created these answers, you will have to select the one that is correct amongst the 3 or more of them. So let's say B is the correct answer. You have to check box B before you click on submit. So when you submit this, the question joins the list of questions you have in the bank. You can see it right here, job interview. This is a test question. If you want to edit it, again, you can just click here, open it up, make some changes. Maybe the answer is not B, it's A. Just change it and click on update. The system will take cognizance of that. If you want to delete it, you can just click on delete and then it's gone from the system. Remember, when these questions are built, you are building them because you want to be able to use them to set up a test, an online test. So let's go ahead and set up a test. To do that, we proceed from question bank to test manager. And in the test manager, again, you select general. And in that general, click on new test. New test will allow you to create as many and different questions as you want, as in tests that you want. So this is going to be, for example, I'm going to call it geography CBT, just CBT, yeah? And then I'll simply call it geotest as code. Total obtainable mark 100, or rather total mark per question, so that depending on the number of questions, the system will now calculate the total marks. So total marks per question is 10. Do you want to enable random question selection? If the answer is yes, that means number one for for person A may be number 10 for person B. That's all. And then maximum number of questions. Again, the question now is how many questions do you want to, first of all, do you want the system to automatically select questions from the question bank? If the answer is yes, how many questions do you want it to select? You enter it here. But if you want to select the questions yourself, then there is no need for this because you will have to go back to the test and add questions. When is the start date for this exam? You are setting up exam. Remember that. So when is the start date for this exam? Let's say it's 15th by 1 a.m. or something. And then when is the end date for it? Let's say it will end on 16th by 5 a.m. or so. How many hours do you want to allot to this exam? Let's say you want everybody to have equally 1 hour and 30 minutes. So you select all that. Do you want to shuffle questions? If the answer is yes, select toggle it on here. You want to shuffle answer two. That is A in question for candidate one. Question 1A might be question 1B in the system. If you want that, again, shuffle answer. If you don't want that, just keep it off. Do you want to allow them to view correct answers? Of course, this is usually better no. And you want to publish results automatically? You may want to do that so that once the result is available, they should receive their results. Okay. If you don't want, you can keep it off so that you will be the one to carry it on to publish it manually. The next is the instruction. So you can just leave them with a quick instruction of answer all questions. Okay. So later on, we'll see where all this information that we have been keying in, how they come together and show up for a seamless candidacy. All right. So I'll simply submit this test. The test has been created. The next thing should be to add questions to it. So here, no question has been assigned. So all I need to do is click on this to add questions. And then this is the list of questions available. So all I need to do is click on the plus button for each one of them to add one, two, three, four, and so on and so forth. Or simply go down to this button and click on add all. If you say add all, the system will add all the questions available to this test, and that will make it a total of 10 questions with total marks assigned of 100. At this point, I'll simply click on continue and the test and the questions would have been saved. My job here is done. Going back to the CBT test, that is this particular test, I can decide to publish it immediately or leave it unpublished. If you publish it, if you want to preview the question first and foremost to see what the test looks like, you can just click on preview, have a feel of what the question will be like, and the answers. As a teacher, you can see your answers. You can choose to fill yourself and see what the final output usually will look like. So here, I'll quickly answer the questions and then submit final. So when I do that, the system will show me how many immediately, how many I scored and what not. Okay, so that's me previewing it as a teacher. If I want to publish it, I'll simply click on publish, make sure that questions have been added and everything. Just read up this and be sure that I'm ready to publish. If I'm ready to publish, I just click on publish and then it goes live. This is the first part. The question becomes, how do we use it? It's now time for us to post a job and let the magic begin. And to do that, all we need to do is go to vacancies and then click on new vacancy. So when we do that, let's say we want to create a vacancy for geography teacher. So all we need to do is come to this place, click on new vacancy and then fill it in here, geography teacher. Okay. And then, of course, the job title is a teacher, subunit, academic staff. And then here you select who is going to be your default hiring manager. Again, I will simply select the admin. Now, we have previously built oral interview templates. This is where we select it to be part of this particular geography teacher vacancy and candidacy structure. The next is the online test that we have built. Remember, we have two there, but we're interested in the one of geography teacher. So this is it. We just select it here. Then the vacancy template that we created initially. This is where we pick it up. Now, what number of positions are available? One or two or three? Let's say we just need one person. So we just key in one as number of position. And then here we give a quick vacancy description. So you can add whatever you want as the description of the geography teacher vacancy job posting. Now, do you require resume? Do you want them to upload resume? The answer is yes. Then click on this to activate that and then save. So when you create this, you can create many more at the same time, then close the button only once. So it's your choice, but this is just one that we are interested in. So all posted jobs show up on this space. So right now we have only geography teacher. Now you can see the hiring manager is just one person. You can add more if you want, just by clicking this and selecting more hiring managers and adding to the list. Now, the next is for the candidates to start filling the form and let's start receiving them, right? So for that to happen, if you look at the geography teacher status, it's open. If you want to close it, it's just a click of the button and it's closed. If you want to open it, a click of the button and it is open. Okay, so that's number one. The first button here is to view candidates. Candidates who have applied under geography teacher. You can view them by clicking on this. This other one is to edit the geography teacher posting. If you want to edit it, just click here, make some changes as you want, and then update. We're not updating anything at the moment, but most important part is the link to the application form. All you need to do is click on it and the system will open the form or open your job application, your job availability platform to all candidates. This URL leads to all your featured jobs. So at any point in time, your URL slash job application form. Anybody who goes there, you can actually copy this, put it in your website. It is job application form. So anytime that you have a job available, the system will have that job posted here. And anybody who comes here can read more about this particular job from right here. So as you can see, the geography teacher we posted is right here. And when you are seeing less, you can see the number of positions, you can see when it was published, you can see the quick description. And if you want to see more, you can click here and the system will give you the full job description, which is one of the templates that we already hitherto applied, having created it previously. Okay, so here we can anybody who is applying can read this up or not. But when you have read it and you are interested in it, you just click on apply. So no matter how many job templates that we have, job application or job openings that we have, all of them will always show up right here in the job application form. All of them. So if it's not available, if you toggle this to close now, like toggle it as closed, then anybody who comes here will simply see we currently do not have a vacancy. It's as simple as that. Okay. So for now, we are going to keep it open. All right. Now, let's feel the job. Let's let people start feeling. Yes. So if you click on apply, it shows you those form items that we created when we were creating application form. This is where they take effect. So here, my name comes in. Then that's the name of the person. And then what's my Facebook URL? Exandive. What's my LinkedIn URL? Again, Exandive. And then my passport. This is where I click and then select my passport. Every field here is malleable, is open to change by the admin. It is admin that decides whether these um, these files show up here or not. Okay, so I'll simply put up a CV and then click on next. So when you click on next, it goes to the next section. So if there is any field I missed, the system will not let me go to the next section because it's mandatory. So my I will just use my initial here and then click next. At that point, the system goes over to the next section, which is the agreement section. Remember when we filled this up, when we created this, and we said fill your full name as a signature. So here I'll simply give them my full name and then do you consent to keeping your data for future processing? If the answer is yes, then you leave it as yes. If the answer is no, the candidate is meant to click on no. The idea of this particular consent is that if you have a candidate that you did not take this time around, you can keep their data for furtherance, for subsequent contact. But if the person did not give you the consent to keep it, then it means that the moment you reject the person, you are obliged to delete the person's information from your system. Okay, so by default, usually people would want you to just keep their information. So we have it defaulted to yes, as a matter of fact. So once this form is filled, just clicking on save will send this form to the admin at the back end. And when we come over to the back end and click on view candidates, we'll see the candidates that have filled for geography teacher opening, right? At this point, we can assign interviewers to them. Maybe we assign administrator as one of the interviewers, and then assign maybe ACO or any other person as the interviewers. And then these are the people that we know will receive the message concerning this particular personnel to interview him or her. Okay, now let's see the details that we usually will see when from a candidate's submission. So when a candidate submits their form for the first time, this is where it shows up, and from here you can see that it automatically goes to application received stage. At the same time, it also sends a message to the candidate, your job application status. Thank you for applying for this job. We forwarded it to the proper person, the appropriate person, and we are keeping our fingers crossed for your success. Kindly expect review actions from us. You receive this message. From here on, you can actually click on the candidate's name or anywhere on the row to view details of this candidate, like the picture that the person uploaded, the current stage of the application. You can see the person's full name and LinkedIn URL and everything. So, okay, so that is the candidate at a glance. The next right thing to do is to start processing the candidates. So I'll leave this, and then I'll submit at least one more candidate, then we move on from there. Okay, having submitted one more candidate, let's attach the same interviewer to both of them. And then add interviewers and close this modal. That's all. That's the first step. But more importantly, let's look at the stages. The Our system has several stages per candidate. So it starts automatically from application received stage. But you can see the next stages like online test, being shortlisted, coming for interview, job offered, offer accepted, hired, and rejected. They are all available for a particular candidate. So, besides being able to see their information by clicking on their names and all whatnot, you can actually start proceeding them from one interview stage to another directly from their profile here. So let's do that for the first person. So to do that, all we need to do is open this up and then advance the person to online test. When you do this, the system will ask you to provide information as to what you want to send to the person. So if you have already existing templates, just like the ones that we just pick up and then it will list up here, you can do that. If you don't already, then you can just click on the plus button, which will again take you to our document template where you can create your mail template. So all you need is again click here and give it a description, and then of course you can say anything you want, like online test invite template, something like that, and you can use that as the subject, online test invite, and you save that, save changes. So when you do that, then when you are here to when you're here to proceed or advance a particular personnel, you can actually select the template and the system will bring it all up for you. The wildcards are already there, which are in conformity with anything that you have here. So you can go ahead and put more edits, then just click on save. And at this point, this particular personnel will be advanced from application received to online test. As simple as that. And at the same time, I believe the personnel will also receive a notification or a message to that effect. You can see geography teacher online test. You have been invited. Now the question becomes, where did the system get the test schedule? Simple. When we created the test in the when we created the test pro forma in the CBT, we gave it starting time and end time, and we also chose the that's the end date and time, right? And then the schedule will take cognizance of that. So here in the CBT, we chose for a particular text that for that particular text that we applied to geography, we already have a start time and end time for it. So on that note, the system takes cognizance of it such that when a mail is being sent out. Dear James, that's your name, and then the CBT test it automatically attaches the schedule for you and also generates a unique exam code for the candidate. So if you are ready to take this test right now, all that is required of you is to click on take test and your system the system will take will the test will ensue. So let's do that for this particular personnel. So I'll just open it in incognito, continue to site, and there. So when it opens up, it gives me the whole instruction. Remember when we wrote this instruction in the schema? Okay. So here again we have it. So the the moment I click on start, the system starts pouring out the questions. So it's now meant for me to answer the questions one after the other and submit within 1 hour 30 minutes. Okay, so let's quickly rush them. Okay, so having gotten to the last one, it's just a matter of submit final. If you feel like there is anyone that you may not have answered, of course, you can always click here to go back to a particular question. Any question that you did not answer, you will see it grayed out. The one that you answered and you want to change, you can always change it right here. And if you want to review your answers, you can always open them up, read everything, go through them one after the other, and then submit final. So the moment you click on submit final, your test is done as a personnel. Your test is done. So at this point, the admin will receive notification of your test and move on with the rest of proceed with the rest of the interview, like the oral interview and so on and so forth. So let's get back to HR and see what we have so far. So recruitment, geography teacher, and then view candidates. So right now you can see this person who has online test has already been scored 70 over 100, that's 70%, while this person has not been moved to the next level. So let's move this person also to online test. Again, we use our template, bring it up, and then we push it. So you see how interwoven the system is. It connects the CBT to this, it connects the oral interview and everything to this same schema. So let's see how this personnel, this new person, handles the same interview schema. So let's say this person receives his own or her own, as the case may be, and also proceeds to take the test. You can see their exam codes and their unique exam codes are different. So let's proceed with this new person. So I'm using incognito to view it so that I don't get to log out from the previous space where we were. Okay, so here we have the instructions, and again, just click on start. And then again, you can see that the question number one here is not the same as question number one for the previous person, and that is just what it is. So here we answer the questions and then submit final. So the moment you submit final, your job is done. You wait for the response from the admin. In the meantime, on the admin end of things, let's see what we have in for the new the other candidates. So James scored 70 and Joan scored 50. Perhaps the cutoff mark is 40, so both of them are proceeding or advancing to the next level. So we will see what the next level looks like in a moment. So having decided your cutoff mark, the next thing should be to advance the ones who passed to interview stage by shortlisting them. And when you're shortlisting, you can always use your shortlisted template or copy and paste yours the way you want, anything that you want, and then save. So when you save that, again, the system will again send out a mail notification to the personnel. So again, we have that notification going out right there, shortlist. So it shows you that you have been shortlisted and it shows you the mail, asks you to do a confirmation within 48 hours. So the same thing goes with the second personnel. So here again, we shortlist and we push your name and we send it out. So again, the personnel receives a notification with their name. So again, John has been shortlisted. So now we have two persons that we are expecting to show up for their interviews, right? That's oral interview. So we are of the notion that they will come. We assume that they will come. So let's go ahead and prepare them, prepare for them. To prepare for them is to actually move them to the interview stage. So we move them to interview stage. There is nothing for us to do. But when we do that, the system will open up the candidacy interview performer. So that candidate interview performer is where we schedule interview for the personnel. So when we open it up, the see orange button, we add a new invite. So this invite now, having shortlisted the person and informed them and all that, if you come to this place and open it up, then the system allows you to choose an interview date for the person, especially in tandem with what you have already told the person will be the interview time and date. So again, just key it in and then you can set the date. So the date you selected here, the date you selected at the top here, that is this date, you can fill it in by just keying in date right here. So that way you don't have to write it yourself. Yeah, so this can serve. And when you send out this message to the first candidate, of course they'll receive it along with the time. And if you send it to the second candidate, you'll receive it along with the time. So new invite again, let's do that. So let's say the next person the same day, but instead of 9 o'clock, we're setting 1 hour for the first person, the next 1 hour for the next person, and so on and so forth. So that we don't have conflict. So we do this and we send out. Okay. So having sent out two different invites to interview, these are the invites. So the first person receives 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. The second person receives 10 o'clock. That's it. Okay. So from there on, it's now a matter of when they show up and the interviewers are seated, the interview ensues. How would the interviewers know who to interview? First of all, they can only see this button. You can only see this button if you are added as one of the interviewers or you are a super admin. That's when you can see this button to interview a personnel. Okay, so that is the very first, the beginning of everything. Then also because your name is on that list, you will also receive this message. Hello, admin. You have been assigned as one of the interviewers for an applicant for geography. Applicant name, this is it, the time. So you should also prepare yourself to show up for the said interview because you have been informed and your name has been scheduled for it. The same thing goes with where it concerns Joanne. So obviously, this is one admin that will be implied that will be interviewing two different candidates at 1 hour interval. One is 9 a.m., the other one is 10 a.m. Okay, so on the time of interview, when the time of interview comes, all you need to do as the interviewer is to click on proceed to interview. When you click on it, do you remember when we filled guideline? interview guideline. Well, this is the interview guideline we filled previously. You can see it here. So it tells you everything that you need to know concerning this particular interview. You can always go here to see. You can prepare yourself by going through the person's CV, seeing every information concerning them, seeing their interview results. If there is anyone that has previously been submitted, you can view it. But if you want to start your own, just click on Start Interview. Remember when we set up interview questions according to competencies? Well, here they are. So here now, for the first section, if you open it, it tells you what to ask. And when you are looking at what to ask, you can also click on it to see expected answer or hint. So you are asking the candidate, describe a time when a student challenged your authority in the classroom. What did the student do and how did you respond? This is a question you ask direct to the candidate. What you are looking out for is positive relationship dealings with students. So when the person is making a response or answering the question, you are paying attention. When he's done, you can grade him 12 or 20, but you cannot grade him anything more than 20 because the weight of this question is 20. That's it. So you go over to the next one and do exactly the same thing. Go over to the next one. So you do this for all questions and then you submit your final note. So let's do that quickly and submit for the first personnel. Then I'll go over to the next one and then we see how the system also grades them together or compares their results. Okay, so almost done. This is the last and the say 10. So this person really tried in answering questions and all that. Then the next thing is, what is your opinion of this particular candidate? This is a good fit. That's your opinion. Then you click on save. So you have submitted for this particular personnel. Next, when it's 10 o'clock, you move over to the next personnel. Again, you follow the same schema and submit. So when you interview the second person, again, you can save that. Once you have saved it, your interview will be noted. Now, when the admin logs on, the admin will see these interview proceedings, right? And this is where the admin will see the proceedings. First and foremost, the admin should be able to compare the candidate's performance in this interview by just clicking on compare with other candidates. When you click on it, you can see quickly that James performed better than Joanne, 78 by 60%. And if you want to see the breakdown of the interview questions and their answers, just click here and the system will show you their overall as well as their individual answers or individual scores for each individual question. So the idea is that you have at your beck and call multiple tools and resources with which to make informed decision as to who to employ. So if you go back to their list, if you go back to their list right here, you can see again that James scored 70 and Joan scored 50. So in comparison, both test score and oral interview score, James seems like the right person to proceed with, right? In which case, you have two options. Maybe for now, you leave, this is what people usually would do. You will let the second choice stay behind and then they will attack the first choice first by making him a job offer. So that job offer is another stage. And at this point, you would want to, first of all, use it's better always to use a job offer template, right? So to advance the first person, just click on job offered and then select the job offer template that you most likely must have built up. And then of course, the position is always selected based on what the candidate has applied for, right? And then you can decide what pay grade you are starting the person with. Of course, the system will show you the pay grade from the list of pay grade contents that it already has. And then you can edit the rest, like changing the minimum. Where do you want the minimum salary wage to show up and stuff like that? So here you update the wildcards with the proper information, and then you send up. Okay, so once you are done with the modifications, you just click on save, and we should expect that the personnel in question that you just made the offer will receive a or will receive the offer notification right here. Then one thing you notice immediately is that apart from being able to fill up the wildcards of name and position, you also get the salary components that make up the person's pay grade and this. That's the first part. The second part is that acceptance is an automated schema within the system, because when the mail of offer goes to the personnel, it goes with a button which the person will have to click. So if you check the acceptance schema in the person's performer, you will notice that offer accepted is not clickable. You can't click on it. You can select it by yourself. It can only be selected or filled by the personnel. So, and to fill it, the personnel will simply have to click on accept right here. If you don't accept, just ignore, and that's it. The system also expects you to accept, and if we don't see you, we simply move you to rejected, and then we face the next candidate. That's why we give you a time frame to reply, to reply or to click. So acceptance deadline is always a good thing to include in the mail. Okay, so let's assume that this person accepted. So that's all. So once you click on that, it tells you, "Hi James, we hereby acknowledge your acceptance of our offer of employment," and the job is done here. So over here now, you will notice that the person's stage will move from job offered to accepted automatically. So here we go, offer accepted, and that's it. So with this now, this job is done. This person has been hired per se. So it is now, since the person accepted the job, they will have to go proceed the person to hired, and then again send out a hired message. So again, hired message. So that hired message can be basically the same thing as what you sent before. Once you fill it in and you send out, then the system will take cognizance of that and move the person from job offer to hired. At this point, you can choose to reject the rest by sending them a reject letter. You need to always ensure that you send out a reject letter for those who you did not, so that you don't waste their time, right? So you always ensure that you send out a rejection note. So for the one you hired, they will receive hired message. For the one you rejected, they will receive rejection message. Simple, very simple. Okay, so that's about that. So you can see how interrelated, correlated, and robust the recruitment module within HR is. So at this point, it's a matter of moving the person to staff profile. Right now, this personnel in question is not yet a member of this HR. If you go to HR and search for this name, you won't find it yet, even though you have completed everything that concerns the person in terms of job offer, right? But you can't see the name Nayinago anyway. Now let's see what happens when we complete the operation right here. So when we come over to this place and we say convert to staff profile, the system gives us again the full detail concerning the personnel and then a button here to convert to staff profile. The teacher is the role, the name and everything. You have the option of changing anything you want to change at this point. Maybe update some parts of the performer that will be used in creating um, creating the user profile. Then which school is it, secondary school, primary school, or preschool, depending on you. And then um, the address of the personnel. Make sure that you pick it up, and then the picture, the passport photograph of the personnel, recent passport, of course. Just bring it in, and then click on create new staff. Watch what happens. When this staff is created, the system will record the person's information in two places. One, it will be recorded in Personnel Information Management (PIM) right here. So if I come to this place now and search for Nanyalogo, I'll find Nanyalogo now. That's number one. If I also go to Teachers View and check for Nanyalogo, I will also see because the person has been properly included. Okay, so that's basically about that. Now, from here, the person can you can continue with the rest of it, like setting up the person's PIM, adding salary, adding account, creating probationary period, just like everything that we have previously seen in PIM, right? So you can continue managing the person's PIM from here on. But this is a full-fledged proceeding of recruitment, starting from templating to job posting, all the way to candidate processing until the candidate becomes a staff.